Hola maestras, ¿cómo están? Okay, let's get into Spanish 1, Unit 5, Week 2. Now I want you to take a look at your calendars because some of you have ski week and some of you don't. So if you need to skip a week of curriculum because you just don't have enough weeks this month to get through Unit 5, go ahead and skip this week. You really need to hit the house, so don't skip that week. But let's go over the content for this week. It's a fun week. There's lots of games. We play with the vocabulary. It's a super fun vocabulary set because it's all about sweets and amor and abrazos y dulces y corazón y flores. So it's a super fun week. We're really focusing on a mí me gusta dar y a mí me gusta recibir. Now this is a review of what we did during Christmas time as well. So that's fun. So you're going to introduce dulce and amargo. So bring in fun things that they can kind of smell, taste. Be careful with anything that you give them to eat. Make sure you have clearance to do that. But they can always smell something and be able to make that distinction. Don't forget your calendar time. This is great conversational. ¿Qué día es hoy? ¿Cuáles son los meses de invierno? You want to be repeating and reviewing some of those questions that we asked last month in that unit content. ¿Cómo está el clima? And then, ¿cuántos dulces tienes tú? You know, if you're going to pass out some little chocolates or something to talk about dulce and amargo, have them count them for you. Yo tengo 3 dulces. Things like that. Now you want to go into pronunciation, and we're going to use the poster, Poema del Amor, to really focus in on that vocabulary and articulation. Always take the opportunity to focus in on articulation when you're developing new vocabulary. You really want them to be able to pronounce the word correctly. So really sit on it. El amor. Over-articulate. Get your mouth moving so that they see it and then they can replicate it. Go ahead and make the poem, and you can make this silly and fun. You know, change the words around. En tus ojos veo las flores. You know, veo los dulces, veo las estrellas. Practice making that super fun and using those word cards right on your poster so that they can see the vocabulary as they're articulating it. Then you go into the worksheet. Now some of you have big classes, so you won't be able to use these flashcards and do as much of the game part of it. So we provided on page 40 of your workbook, can you see that? There are sentences that they can build out, and then you can draw those together. So go ahead and make that decision if you have a smaller class that you can manage and do the game with, which is making the flashcards, which then they're going to play Go Fish with, and like a musical chair variation with those flashcards. Or you can start and maybe do half of this. Realistically, you won't get through in one day, but that's okay. You can do half of it today, half of it tomorrow. On day 2, again, you want to be reviewing your target vocabulary, all those great adjectives. Again, going over dulce and amargo. You don't want them to only relate dulce to chocolate. Bring in something else that's sweet. Or dulce to a lemon. What else is bitter? What else can be related to that word? Go ahead, again, do some fun stuff with the calendar. Get your kids talking. Super, super important. And then go back to your poem. You want to go through the poem almost every day, if not every day, to articulate, change it up, move the word cards around so that they really have to read. In day 2, the game is that they sit in a circle and that they have their own flashcards, their little index cards that they have written the vocabulary on with a picture. One student, so everybody has their stack of cards. In the middle, there's one student, and then the rest of them are sitting in a circle. The student in the middle picks out one of his cards and says, A mí me gusta recibir los dulces. The students that are holding that card must stand up and say, A mí también, and then they have to switch which seat they're sitting in. So you want to put like chairs in a circle or your carpet squares in a circle. except you have one less carpet square because somebody has to be left in the middle. So then they have to change where they're sitting, the spot that they're sitting, and the guy in the middle is trying to get one of those spots. Whoever's left in the middle then picks another card. A mí me gusta recibir las flores. And then the rest who have picked that card as well will go, a mí también, and then they will rotate. So this is a fun game to play with your students. And if you don't have that flexibility to be, having the kids move around like that in games, some of you have bigger classes, go ahead and finish up page 40 of your workbook. And that can fill in for there. Now, day 3, what you want to do is, again, be doing review, opening, really articulating. And I've been seeing, as I've been observing, there's a lot of English being spoken to deal with behavioral issues. I want to put a plug in there, just like what I wrote in the email the other day. You really need to take time to train your kids. This week is heavy on the game side, which means you have a lot of opportunity for kids to mess around, get attention, roll around on the ground, whatever. This is really imperative that you keep control of your class. How do we do that? In a very gentle, positive way, but a very definitive way. When you have a quiet moment where you're bringing them in, you wait until everyone has been quiet. If you do not wait until everyone is quiet, you will not have an effective strategy here. People say, oh, it doesn't work. I go in and I observe them, and it doesn't work because they're not waiting until everybody does it. If you have one student that continually doesn't do it, ask them to stand in the back of the classroom until they're ready to come back. When you use English in that situation, you come up and you whisper in their ear. It's not necessary for everybody else to receive that. You've got lots of good kids that are following along. Don't switch out of Spanish to address the whole class if it's one student. Okay? All right, so enough about the classroom management. Day 3, again, opening. You want to do calendar time, pronunciation, work on that poem, see if they can start to memorize it, put some motions to it, have fun with that. And then this one is putting the kids in groups, and maybe you play it whole group first, all right? Because they might not have ever played Go Fish. They might not understand how the game runs. So you can get everybody in a circle again with their stash. And then you can have kids ask kids across the board, dame una tarjeta de las flores. So then the other kid gives him his flower card, and then he has a pair. You want to make sure that all the kids have their name on the back of the card so that they get their cards back. All right? If they don't, you have cards in the middle that they draw. So if you have any questions about Go Fish, this is really the crux of this game, go ahead and give me a call about that. But it really is, you take like 4 or 5 sets or whatever you have in the group, you shuffle them together, you give all the kids like 4 cards, and they're looking to have pairs. You put the rest of them in the middle, and then they ask each other for that card. Okay? Day 4, you're going to make tarjetas de San Valentin. Now remember, this is something that you want to generate a little bit of vocabulary. Maybe they write out their poem inside their card, and they can make variations of that poem. And write it to their mom. Querida mamá, yo veo las estrellas en tus hojas, ojos. And go ahead and make that a very sweet card to their mom. All right, and send it home so that the parents can see what they've been doing this week. All right, there is also page 41 in your workbook. So if the Go Fish game is too much, go ahead and work on this page. If you have time to do both the game and the workbook page, even better. All right, have a super fun week, and we'll talk to you soon. Hasta luego.